Do you think Skyy Moore is going to have a bounce back and a breakout season in his sophomore year in the NFL in 2023? Let's get into it. My name is Daniel Harms at the RGR Football Channel, lead film analyst here, and I charted 7 games from 2022 of Skyy Moore. We went to Tampa Bay, Las Vegas, Buffalo, the Chargers, week 11, the Rams, week 12, Cincinnati, week 13, and we rounded it all out with Cincinnati in the AFC Championship game where he had his most snaps played on the season and ran the most routes. Now, before I get into the the routes, and the open percentage for him, I did not chart things like pop passes and things like, fake screens, pop screens, and anything that was immediate to the flat, because that's not really a route. That's schemed into space, like, for example, when you're doing a jet sweep from right to left or left to right, and you're just sitting in the flat. So out of the routes that I charted, I have 99 routes. He was open on 52% of them. So Skyy Moore has the ability, we all know he does, to get open in the NFL. And one thing that we always know that we've seen from him from the very beginning is the ability to win against man coverage. A lot of his reps where he's open, he's winning, are like this against Derwin James, where he reads that leverage of the DB, opening his hips to the sideline, and he takes that jab step outside, steps inside, crosses him up, and wins over the middle of the field, getting open, using his hands to catch the football away from his frame and keeping it high, tight in there to get catch and contact and run yards after the catch through contact. That's one of his hallmarks. Here he is motioning from left to right. The offense reads what's happening here, and we get to see him working physical man coverage at the top of his route. He comes underneath, dips that outside shoulder underneath. You can see it one more time. He's going to just slow dip that outside shoulder, rip up through, like we see with defensive ends trying to rip through a block of a lineman. It's almost the same kind of concept where he's doing the same thing where he's ripping through, getting in and running that inside outside out route, and then getting into space. All of the things that he's done well in Kansas City, getting open against man coverage in comparison to a zone. He was much better at doing that last year than he was getting in zone. And we're going to get to exactly why that was the case in a little bit. But when you come into the NFL from a place like Western Michigan, it's hard to adapt to the ever-changing things that are defensive coverages that are the NFL route tree, especially in Andy Reid NFL route tree. Here he is again. He's going to be at this left-hand side of the offense at the apex of this trips formation or this bunch formation, running through physical press man contact, noticing that corner is opening up to the boundary, opening up to the big middle of the field, so he can open now himself and keep that vertical, and then he starts to separate at the end there. So all things that he did well for Kansas City last year, and really getting open in terms of man coverage were things that he continued to do, and things that he did at Western Michigan as well. So that's what we're here to talk about today. And when we get into it, like we want to talk about all the things that Skyy Moore does well. We have to mention that not everything that you're going to do as a rookie comes in and it just translates immediately. The one thing that I think was underrated about his game at Western Michigan was his blocking. Funny enough, he was the #1 rated Chiefs wide receiver in blocking, run blocking, pass blocking, all of that stuff. He was the best receiver at, about 200-ish snaps in total played as a blocking wide receiver. And we're going to see why right here, because he does all those little things well. He's motioning right to left. They're trying to identify coverage, obviously. He's going to come down on number 52, Denzel Perryman, and help create that wall, that blocking wall that allows Jerick McKinnon to get into space, and then he does the rest. But shout out quickly to having Jerick McKinnon back in Kansas City, because we all know that we love watching him play in Kansas City. Love getting to see him do that every single day once again in a Chiefs uniform. So yes, we're going to see Denzel Perryman kind of drop out here. Skyy Moore was going left or right to left, He's going to do that little crack block, quote unquote crack block. It's not like it used to be, and you're not getting that same physicality from a guy of Skyy Moore's stature, but he still comes in, he delivers the hit, brings that wall in, and then Jerick McKinnon runs and continues going off. That helps create that wall all of those really underrated things that he does. He's asked to be a blocker in wide receiver screens and a bunch of other stuff too. So he's a very good and really kind of a timely blocker. When Patrick Mahomes is getting out of the pocket and running the football at times, he will turn around immediately and start to block up his corners and DBs and safeties and things like that. So very understanding, good player when it comes to using his body and blocking and things like that. And, you know, he does a lot of dirty work too. He's really asked to free up a lot of other players. He's out wide here, one-on-one, and he's just going to be running a little slant, but really it's a pick for Travis Kelce, and we're going to see why here in just a second. But as a younger player, you're going to have to do some dirty work, earn your trust in this offense. And here, again, playing through physicality, watch as that safety comes down, and he's trying to line up his block, and then obviously Travis Kelce runs it in here. But he's kind of double-teamed. Travis Kelce is double-teamed. So this safety here and the man cover on Travis Kelce, who's just running a drag route right here. And what Skyy Moore, again, is trying to do, play physically through and just get this pursuing safety. So Travis Kelce maybe has an opportunity to get into the end zone here. If you think about it, stylistically and being able to do that, if you're playing man coverage, you should be able to get Travis Kelce one-on-one here into the end zone if you block up this one safety. So timing all of this up, Skyy's just going to physically play through that and get there. We see the DB fall off of Travis Kelce, but then obviously we know that he has the innate ability that he does to just sense space wherever it is. So Skyy Moore, again, does the dirty work there, getting Travis Kelce freed up off that safety. The first guy, the defender, falls down, and then, you know, the rest is history as Travis goes on to have a 4-touchdown game against the Las Vegas Raiders. Really, really fun being able to see all of that come into play. And all of the dirty work that we see from Skyy Moore, whether it comes to blocking, whether it comes to being asked to be more of a pick play guy, or, as it will happen, being a kind of a decoy in a sense to get somebody else open, like we're going to see on the very next play in Cincinnati. Okay, we have Skyy Moore in this reduced split outright. Okay, when you are being asked to be a decoy, you got to always sell the route. Think back to the Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers when Wasp happened. Everybody was ecstatic. That play does not happen without Sammy Watkins running his dig route at 110%. That corner does not bite on the deep dig route without Sammy running it at 100%, and that doesn't bring that entire area of space open for Tyreek Hill to run into. So watch here. We're going to see Skyy Moore be more of a decoy over the middle of the field, which is exactly what the Chiefs are wanting to do. They want to flood all of that left-hand side. Okay, they want to flood all of that and get a big play down the field. So here, they're just, like I said, what I mean by flood, you have a ton of receivers, Travis Kelce included, basically just running up the left-hand side of the field. They're going to have a chip and release from Jerick McKinnon on the left side. Skyy Moore is running more of this like post over the middle of the field. Excuse me, that was a terrible arrow. Juju Smith-Schuster is just running a drag route. So you have a lot of intention running to the left-hand side of the field, okay? And even MVS right here is going to intentionally start his route on more of an angle, but he's running what's called a shake route, okay? So let's talk a little bit about the shake route, because this is something that I think a lot of people need to know a little bit more about. So we're going to bring in a little bit of information. All right, shake route. We're number 3 right here. If you guys can't see it, I'll try to zoom in the shake route. You're getting vertical 10 to 12 yards, and those can all be adjusted for based on coverages that you see. And then you're going to sell the post, break off technique to the of the defensive back to the corner, okay? That's exactly what we see from Marquez Valdez-Scantling here. He does essentially that. He's not doing vertically, though. He wants to sell initiality to the left-hand side, okay? And then break out to the corner. So, again, Skyy Moore over the middle of the field, what he's going to end up doing is you're taking outside leverage here from this DB, who it looks like he's got outside leverage, and this safety now has to cover space, all right? Cover a lot of space. So we have all of this area open to the left-hand side as a guy who's running this post here. Again, run it through the route, because now this safety comes down because he knows that this entire area of the field, based off responsibility to the flat from the running back out of this DB here, Skyy Moore would be wide open on this big play, a big chunk play if he does that. So he's running through his route. That safety commits, and now we get the leverage reading from Marquez Valdez-Scantling and off that shake route all the way to the right-hand side, all right? That's what I love to see. Being a guy who's a good blocker, who can time up a lot of his pick plays, earning trust here, taking this safety away and allowing Marquez to make the big play here and be the only guy open on that side of the field. All of it comes down to knowing where you're supposed to be on the field, being trusted to be able to run that route and clear open, create space there, and do what you got to do, making for big plays. So those all are big things that he had to do to earn trust in this offense, to be able to come in and have, Andy Reid, given the faith that he has to be able to run, to execute things. And then we'll get into the zone coverage aspects, because there are a lot of things in this, not just this breakdown that we're going to talk about, but in his game, in every single game, in every single route tree run throughout a game itself, that you can do based off the coverage that's given. So there's a lot that needs to go into these plays before you can really be trusted. And we saw a little bit of trust go in and out of Skyy Moore and Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid throughout the season. So as we get back into it here, as you can see at the bottom of your screen, we have Skyy Moore, what looks like one-on-one man coverage and almost two safeties here. This is what it looks like pre-snap, okay? And that's something that we have to decide. The quarterback, has to decide beforehand. The receiver also has to kind of understand what the corner's doing before he's running his route. And he ends up running this deep curl or a hook route against what ends up being more of a cover 3. So as this play unfolds, you're going to see 29 kind of get leverage here, 24 rotate, and then you have what, again, appears to be more of a cover 3 look right here. And your route can adjust based off of what you're being given. But here we see just a little bit of understanding. Again, you're inside, and you're just going to run this hook back to the quarterback inside this defender here and this underneath defender. So you're just trying to get open in that space so he doesn't have to change his route at all. He does get open. A good job breaking off 29 and getting in that space. Maybe he could angle his comeback or his pivot off of that, the stop break inward a little bit instead of coming directly back. Maybe come back this way, because again, you're trying to open up space, and when you do come downhill towards this defender, that takes that angle that Patrick Mahomes has to throw the football, and it reduces it, okay? So instead of it being, an angle here into nothing, it's more of an angle here where maybe a hand gets in the way, and those minute degrees of angles can change what it looks like. So again, instead of coming directly backward, maybe just change it a little bit that way. So Mahomes looks like he's throwing the football to a spot specifically because he goes left to right through his reads, hits it, and then Skyy's a little bit off or the ball is a little bit off. Again, that's all based off of the coverage itself and learning to see what is in front of you and going through all of that. So right here we see Skyy Moore out on the left-hand side against the Rams, and he's going to be running a quick out, okay? Same with just about everybody here, but let's go ahead and watch the play first, because he doesn't actually end up running his route. And then we get to watch as he adjusts based off the coverage, which is one of the big areas of this offense you have to account for. So the Chiefs are running basically quick outs. Everyone's running a quick out. Quick out. Quick out. Even the tight ends are going to run the quick out here, and then you have Isaiah Pacheco running this here, all right? So they're just basically trying to open up the middle of the field or hit somebody based off of when they get open. That brings in more reading of this, all right? So, by the way, I got all of this from Honest NFL at the Honest NFL on Twitter. You guys should follow him. He brings a ton of great information to the football realm. All of this stuff, these receiver adjustments are 100% from Andy Reid's playbook, things like that he's done in the past. So if we look at the top, okay, this quick out right here, this quick out, all right, The adjustment when the corner's playing off, there isn't one. But if you have a bump, which means any type of contact in that first 2 to 3 yards or first 5 yards, that bump and turn, you're adjusting it to a fly now, okay? Or if you see a more of a cloud defender, meaning somebody probably more of an inside shade, you fade it. So you go up the sideline, all right? So now we get an understanding that, okay, Skyy Moore sees some contact at the top of his route, okay? So he adjusts this one on the fly. And that's why, see, you get that contact, and that's where we see the fly go. There's no contact here, so you see the quick, the out, you see the quick out, you see the quick out. Everybody except Skyy Moore, who changes it. Because he sees the contact coming, he sees the bump coming, and he adjusts it based off of that. That's how you know that there's been some growth to his game. And how do you know it's a bump? Because the corner turns and looks for the football again. He relocates it, okay? So watch the corner that's playing Skyy Moore, how it's translated. And then he gets to show off his ability to catch football away from his frame. So he's got a lot of tools in the tool bag. And when you're trying to just figure things out as a young player, you have to be able to take into consideration that he's learning a whole new route tree, having to adjust off all these different kinds of routes off of the coverages themselves. And then he can show off some of the things that he does really well as a player. So there's a ton of stuff in his film that just suggests that he's going to be a good player. I don't know if he'll ever be an elite player. He'll easily, I think, be a functioning player of this offense. And then you get to see him here at the right hand of your screen on the line of scrimmage, playing as the solo receiver in a 3-by-1 formation with Travis Kelce to the left. And we have what's called a pivot route here, okay? So pivot just means that at the top of your route, you're looking out and around about 10 to 12 yards, and you're pivoting back around. Let me see if I can find that one here. Pivot route. Pivot. We've got... Here's the pivot. All right, depth 10, 12, 10 yards, explode off the ball, plant outside foot. That's when you see that jab step to the outside. He's planting that outside foot and pivoting around to the quarterback, okay? Number 14, that's what this is right here. So that's exactly what Skyy Moore is running. He's going to plant that outside foot. Kind of. He is more of rounding this off based on the depth of the corner here. He doesn't have to get all the way to it, but he does pivot right there. It's more of a rounded pivot, so this is where you can kind of see some of the detail also not always there with a young player. This should be explode out through, but he rounds it at the end, and that does allow the corner to really get there quickly, but he does show off some of his ability to box out. What I mean by box out is right here he turns. Okay. As he's turning, he understands I have space to work with. I also know that this corner has eyes on the quarterback as well as me. So I'm turning to the football. He's closing space. And that spatial recognition, that spatial awareness from Skyy Moore is what's going to let him now see when the ball comes out. Oh, geez. We'll try that one more time. When the ball comes out, he knows that corner is going to be close. So instead of just standing there and reaching up, he jumps up and allows himself to take that football and then carry it to his chest instead of it being really above his head, where he then might drop the ball if he gets hit. Here, he has much more control of the situation, and then he can turn and try to get some yak after it. So he converts the first down right there, but based off of, one, understanding where he is on the field, where the corner is, and using his shielding technique there to get the football and not drop it. Things that you love to see. Sorry about the black part of the screen here. This one did not transfer as well, so we won't spend as much time on it. But Skyy Moore down at the bottom of your screen with a 2-by-2 formation and Travis Kelce running more of a Colorado route. Colorado route here is 6 yards upfield. You take 3 steps to the post and you flatten off to the right-hand side based off of where that corner, based off where the DB is, okay? So he's basically just going to adjust it when he moves inside, boom, boom, and he's just going to go that way. And what he's doing, since he's going to be double covered, he's opening up Skyy Moore underneath with that whip route, or, you know, just being able to get open with that yak ability. So this is a really nice read from Travis Kelce to take this here, but also from Skyy Moore where he's running his whip route, because you're pressing inside here, but you've got double team here. But both of them their hips are turned to the opposite side of the field. So when he comes inside there, he's timing himself up with that route from Travis Kelce and breaking based off of where Patrick Mahomes is too and where the defense is. So it's a nice understanding of where you have to be on the field, and then he transitions all of that into that whip route, into yak ability. So he does have yak ability. He's going to be more of a tough physical guy, maybe breaking tackles instead of making guys miss, which he does do a very good job at for a guy who's not the quickest guy in the world. We've seen multiple times of him, making guys miss in the short area, but he's definitely going to be more of a tough after the catch guy, and I like to see that from him. So all in all, I do think he's going to be a very good player in Kansas City's offense when it's all said and done. He has all of the makings of someone who last year took everything he was working on and is developing it into his game. We're going to see him once again here on the line of scrimmage in a more of a stack formation with Justin Watson. He's running a corner route, but watch as he takes this and stems it vertically, makes that cornerback bite inside, and then he breaks it out, okay? All of these things that he does, they're important. Stem variation, stem manipulation, and selling routes are all extremely important. So I think he's going to be a very good player in Kansas City for a long time. Maybe not an elite player, and that's fine, but at the end of the day, he has all the tools to be a very good player for the Kansas City Chiefs. And once again, you go back through, you see all the things that he did in that tape. And I didn't show a ton of him not getting open versus zone because, again, there are so many different things you have to know to be able to get open against zone. And in year one against Andy Reid, it's not always just going to be something that you can innately do. So he learned all of that. I think you can see throughout the tapes, throughout the clips that I showed, that he is adapting, he's learning, and that's the big takeaway from last year, is that he learned a lot. Coming into this season, he has a really good foundation to be a good player. So I hope you guys enjoyed this really technical breakdown of Skyy Moore, him learning the offense and how many different things he has to do just to get ready, and how kind of crazy it is that Travis Kelce knows everybody's route tree, knows how to read a defense like a quarterback, and just kind of plays the game like he's having fun and doesn't have to think about it too much. That's the crazy part of the whole thing. So please make sure you hit that like, hit the bell, hit the sub. We're going to keep breaking these things down, going through using these route tree diagrams that I've got now. We're going to really dive into breaking things down at a more complex level so you understand exactly what's supposed to be happening on the field. You guys have yourselves a fantastic day. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.